So let's talk about your criticism of the Supreme Court judgment, which basically annulled the conviction of Mr. Bode George. Now, when he was convicted, many Nigerians assumed he was convicted for corruption. Subsequently, he came out, appealed his case, and got his conviction overturned. You were publicly very critical of that decision, and some people say by castigating the highest law in the land, you are undermining the judiciary. Do you accept that criticism?
No, I do not accept the criticism. A few years back, the Supreme Court challenged lawyers to criticize their judgments. And that was when the Honorable Justice Shukudi Oputa made the point that we are not infallible because we are final. We are not final because we are infallible. But we're infallible because we're final. In other words, the Supreme Court can make a mistake. There are times the court itself reviews its position when you take an application to the court to overturn its previous decision, which you believe, and if you can convince the court that the decision was arrived at wrongly.
You are saying, this is competency you're questioning, Mr. Falana.
No, I didn't question
it is, if they're making mistakes, it is
anybody
competency.
Can make a mistake. Anybody can make a mistake. Any human being can make a mistake. And what the court does is to review his past decision.
So it's not about competence?
No.
Of the Supreme
Court? Oh, no. It's not about competence. The judges are competent. But you can make a mistake either without looking at certain aspect of the law. It's a mistake. But that did not mean that you are not competent to appreciate the legal point. And what I'm saying is that there are times I've had cause to commend the Supreme Court. And even after this, my comment, I've had cause to commend the Supreme Court. I think it was in the case of Mohammed Abacha and the state and the federal government of Nigeria, who was charged in 2000. The case was just concluded in January this year. He went through the entire gamut from the High Court to the Supreme Court. And he wanted to share in his father's immunity. And the Supreme Court said, no. Even if your father were alive, his immunity will have expired the moment he left office. So there's no way you can claim that you can enjoy. It's not a family immunity. And I commended the Supreme Court. So you have the right. In any country, journals.
What did you hope would happen when you criticized this particular judgment? Was it your hope that the Supreme Court will look at your criticism and reverse itself?
No. Against next time.
Now, you've talked generally about a defective legal system, I think, in the past, where you feel that there are a lot of things that are not quite right. In the case of Hamza Al-Mustapha, yes, for example, if I quote you some of what you said there are no measures in place to equip the investigation departments of the police or improve the skills of prosecutors. Witnesses are not protected by the system. Hence, it is easy for defendants who are rich to bribe or scare potential witnesses from testifying for the prosecution. Do you believe that Al-Mustapha is guilty and that if not for these shortcomings, he would be in jail?
I believe that, but for the enormous shortcomings and the manipulation of the legal system, there's no way we would not have gone in. I believe that very seriously. And I mean, if you look at the fact that the trial dragged on for 13 years, during which time some of those who had given evidence indicting him, turned around to say, oh, sorry, and they went to, weep in court. But if the system had run its full course speedily, the case will have been over, and the judgment could have been otherwise.
So given all of these things...
But it's only the rich can do that.
So really, the only people who get punished as far as you're concerned in this country are
the poor. They are being railroaded to jail every day. Why the rich can manipulate the system, hang on a small point and get to the Supreme Court. sometimes up to about 15 years. By the time you come back, the judges, the trial judge will have been promoted or is retired. You are starting de novo. And you can take that battle back to the Supreme Court. Again, we are looking at all that. Can you have a system that allows individuals to manipulate the criminal justice system in a way that you have total impunity? And
you don't think this is too much generalization that you...
No. I'm talking from experience. And I'm happy that some of our colleagues are beginning to appreciate that. And one of the things we have recommended,
in the national
borrowing
conference.
From the...
Is this at the national conference?
Yeah, borrowing from section 40 of the EFCC Act and a provision of the Lagos State Administration of Criminal Justice System is to ensure that nobody is allowed to stay proceedings in a criminal trial.
We're going to take a break, sir. When we return, we talk politics and the Nigerian state, which Mr. Falana has described as a banana republic. Please stay with us.